Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back with another one. It's the Authority Project. I am Brian S. Arnold here, and I am delighted to have my new good friend here, Tim Fitzpatrick. He is here. He says to give us the 3 must-have steps to successfully market your business. Is that right, Tim?
That's it. We're gonna jump into those 3 steps. It's the 3 steps that you have to start with if you want to be successful long term.
All right. Well, we shall see. We shall see on this episode, this amazing episode of the Authority Project.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, feast your eyes and tune your ears. It's that time again. We are live with another episode of the Authority Project. It's the video podcast streamed on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Periscope, where we talk to digital marketers, business coaches, and creators of all kinds on how they've built authority in their field and how you can mimic their success. Developing authority, building your audience, and attracting better clients to your own business. Now, without further ado, let's bring to the virtual stage your host, Brian S. Arnold.
All right, we are back with another one, folks. It is Brian S. Arnold here. This is the Authority Project. You are the project, and you want to slap authority to your name so you can sell more of what you're great at. And I have Tim Fitzpatrick here in the virtual building. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me, Brian.
Awesome. I was glad to have you here. So honored. And I am ready to get going. It is 93 degrees out here. It's hot and humid here in Boston. And I'm going to be drenching sweat during this show, but we got to get the show going still. So let's start, first of all, Tim, with who you are personally and then professionally.
Sure. So I was born and raised in Northern California in the Bay Area. Great place to grow up. But after I got involved in my professional career and had some changes happen, my wife and I ended up moving to Denver. Which has been a great move for us. I love Colorado, fantastic place to be. So, married, 2 kids, and I love being outside, man. Mountain biking, paddleboarding, skiing, nice. Golf, anything active. I don't do well sitting. So
that's great.
Professionally, when I graduated from college, I got involved in a wholesale distribution company. I became a partner in that company. That was my first step into entrepreneurship. I was very fortunate in that company. We grew 60% a year on average for about 9 years before we sold it. And then I stayed on with them for another 3 years, moved out to Colorado with the company. And then in 2009, I got laid off. We all know what happened in 2008, 2009, a lot of not so good things with the economy. And at that point, I decided to shift gears. I got involved in residential real estate. I had always been interested in real estate from an investment standpoint. And so said, hey, what better way to learn real estate than to just jump in and start selling and helping people buy and sell property. And after about 3 years, man, I was like, I am not enjoying this. I don't like it. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
I put myself outside my comfort zone all the time. I learned a ton doing it, but I said, I got to shift gears because what's the point in owning your own business if you're not going to love what you're doing? So at that point, took a little bit of time, tried to figure out what I wanted to do. And that's when I got into what I'm doing now, which is with my company, Rialto Marketing. And we're working with service businesses primarily, helping them simplify marketing so that they can grow with less stress. So that's it in a nutshell.
Awesome, man. That's awesome. So let's get into, first of all, do you have a current project you're working on at the moment?
I'm always working on, well, I guess it depends on what you call a project. We have client projects that we're always working on. From a standpoint of my company, yet we always have projects working on too. So, the most recent really that we have a lot of focus on is our own content, our own podcast, which we're now doing. When the pandemic started, I started once a week. I'm now doing it twice a week. And as you know, Brian, it's just, I don't know. I love doing it. I meet a lot of great people doing it. And content is the best way to build authority that I know of. So
absolutely. Great. And got one last question before we dive in. Can you tell us what your daily routine is?
My daily routine. So I'll tell you what my morning routine is, because not all my days look the same, but my morning routine, I get up, this is during the weekdays. I get up at 5 o'clock. I'm an early riser. I love being up in the morning. I get up, I meditate, I exercise, and I have a good breakfast, and I get my day going. I always try in the morning, first thing when I start working, after I've, my morning routine helps me kind of get in the right headspace. And then from there, I use a daily planner. So I know what my priorities are for the day. I know what meetings I have. And that's what I use to keep myself focused and motivated. I would tell you, it works pretty well. It still needs to be perfected sometimes, right? We all have a tendency of getting off the rails sometimes. And I'm always working on improving that and getting it better.
Absolutely. All right. So let's get right to it. Glad you answered those 3 questions here so we can get started. What are these 3 must-have steps to get us to successfully market our business?
They are the 3 marketing fundamentals in my eyes. When you think about the fundamentals in any discipline, I don't care what it is, they're the same. They don't change, right? The fundamentals of standing at the plate and hitting a baseball are the same today as they were 50 years ago, and they're not going to change. Marketing is the same way. The fundamentals of marketing have always been there. The problem, I think, nowadays is so many people don't talk about it. We want to get tactical immediately. I've got to have a website. I've got to have a YouTube channel. I've got to have a podcast. Whatever the coolest, latest, greatest tactic is, that's what we feel like we need to have. But if we jump into those things first, before getting the fundamentals in place, we're never going to have long-term success. It's like building a house without a foundation. It may stay up for a while, but at some point it is going to crumble. So when I look at the fundamentals of marketing, I call them the marketing strategy trilogy. 1, first and foremost, is your target market. You have to understand who your target market is. Who are you going to serve, and how are you going to serve those people? And within that target market, you have to understand who your ideal clients are. Right? Just because we're focused on a specific market doesn't mean everybody in that market is going to be an ideal client for us. We have to understand who those ideal clients are, because once we understand who we intend to attract, and we really know them better than they know themselves as it relates to what we do, we can do a couple things. 1, we can start to identify where those people are, because that list of where those people are is where we can then get out and start marketing our business, right? The second step, the second fundamental, is your messaging. What you say to that market. Is it clear? Is it engaging? Does it attract them to come into your world? You can't create clear, engaging messaging until you understand first who you're trying to attract, right? Otherwise, you can't possibly create good messaging.
Yeah.
But so that's why everything starts with your target market. Then you've got messaging. And then the third step, the third fundamental, is you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan of how you're going to get that message in front of those people. If you don't have a plan, right, you don't have priorities. If you don't have priorities, you don't have clarity. And if you don't have clarity, you have tons of stress. We have to have a plan that we're going to work. Those are the 3 fundamentals. If you get those in place, everything else you do after that will work that much better. There's a quote from Michael Jordan. He said, "Get the fundamentals down and the level of everything you do will rise." Mm-hmm. Professionals Michael Jordan made shooting free throws look easy, because he practiced it so many darn times. It was like, it was instinct, right? He had laid the foundation to be able to do that consistently well. That's all we're doing with the marketing fundamentals, is put that foundation in place so that when we do start to get more tactical, they're going to work that much better. At the very least, we're giving those tactics the best opportunities to succeed. We have to have those things in place. Otherwise, we're going to waste time and we're going to waste money. I talk to people all the time. Oh, hey, we did SEO, or we did Facebook ads. It didn't work.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that it's not that it was a bad tactic. It very well could have been the right tactic. It was just done at the wrong time. People were putting the cart before the horse. And if you don't have those fundamentals in place, you just can't effectively get tactical long term.
So I got what you're saying there. So what about the people who, like, out of those three different things, what if it's just not in their wheelhouse of somebody trying to build their business? They're just not good at this one thing. They're not good at, planning, or they're not good at putting together like an effective marketing strategy, whatever.
Yeah.
What do you say to those people where just like they have a small budget, but they just don't know how to do it correctly? So where do you, I mean, I know the fundamentals, but sometimes people aren't even, they're not even good at the fundamentals.
Yeah. Well, let's put it this way. At some point, I mean, either you have to take the time to learn about it so that you can do it yourself, or you have to find somebody that can help you do that. Whether it's from a coaching standpoint, just giving you those outside eyes to guide you through the process, or paying somebody to do the work for you. But somebody has to do that work, right?
Right.
You have to do that work. There's just no way around it. Yeah. But it's not complicated. We don't need to overcomplicate these things. So many people overcomplicate marketing because, now, right, what I find is so many people are battling information overload when it comes to marketing. There's all kinds of different marketing channels. Mm-hmm. There's all kinds of tactics. There's tons of gurus, and they're overwhelmed by it all. Yeah. And when we're overwhelmed, we either, just start doing what comes top of mind with no plan, or we don't even, and we don't have a plan in place, or we just don't do anything because we're like, I don't know what to do. I'm stuck, but it doesn't have to be that way. Right. So let's think about this. If you've been in business for a while, you've got past clients, you've got current clients, and you're really, you're working with people sometimes that are a great fit, and others you're like, oh my God, that was a nightmare. I don't want to do that again. Yeah. Ask yourself 3 questions to start to hone in on who your ideal clients are. 1, who do you enjoy working with? 2, who are your most profitable clients? And 3, who do you get your best results for? Ask those 3 questions, and you will have a group of current and past customers that you love working with, that are profitable, that you get great results for. Now you can start to look at that group, start to look at what those people are like. What are the demographics of those people? Do they have certain job titles? Are they in certain industries? If you're in business to consumer, it could be, are they located in certain areas? Are they certain age range? Do they make a certain amount of money? Those are all demographics, but then you can also start to look at the psychographics. What are their thoughts, their feelings, their roadblocks as it relates to what you do? What are their questions? What results are they looking for? What benefits do they want to see? And when you do that with that group, inevitably what happens is 1 to 3 subgroups come out of that. Those are your ideal client, your ideal clients. And once you know who they are, then you can start to look at how you're going to message those people to attract them.
Yeah. So I see like just the picturing of what this like is still like a fog to this. So what you're saying is pretty simple, right? Well, what if you're dealing with people who, frankly, they're just not good at it. They don't have an audience yet. They don't know what is it? Just they're up and down with their business, and they don't have, maybe they think they don't have enough of response to get to those places. What do you say to people?
But you still, if you're just starting out, not a problem, right? The internet is our friend. All the information that we need, we can find on Google.
Yeah.
You have to, if you're just starting out, you have to hone in on at least an idea of the market that you're going to serve. Because if you try to attract everyone, it's too broad, right? You already said it, Brian. I may be starting out and I don't have a lot of money. Well, guess what? If you don't have a lot of money, you really need to focus. Okay. Because trying to attract everybody costs a ton of money. And I haven't come across a small business that has enough money to try and attract everyone. Amazon can try to do it, Apple can try to do it, Facebook can try to do it. They have a ton of money, right? But most small businesses don't. So you've started this company because you have a product or service that you believe can help people. You have some experience as to why you believe that. Now you just need to do the research online, right? There's forums, there's Facebook groups, there's LinkedIn groups, there's white papers, case studies. I mean, there's associations for darn near any industry or vertical. A lot of them put out case studies. There's tons of information online that you can get to investigate certain target markets. So do the research and find out, is the market large enough? Do they see, is this problem that I believe I can solve actually a problem that people are willing to spend money for? If so, well, then great. We may be onto something, and we can hone in on, hey, maybe I'm starting a marketing company, and I've decided that I want to focus on, I came out of the distribution business. We were selling to contractors, right? Maybe I decide that I want to work with contractors to help them grow their business through marketing because I know that market, but I still may need to do some research. Right. So you can still, even if this is not your thing, it's all we're doing is going through the process of identifying whether this may be a good market for the service or product that I'm offering. Do they have an interest? Do they perceive this as a problem or a need that they are willing to pay money for? If so, well, then great. We may be onto something. Talk to people, right? You can go into these forums, even if I can post questions in forums for almost any industry. See what people are talking about. You just have to take the time to do the research. It's not difficult, but it is time. You do need to take the time to do it.
Yeah, I think just for maybe from a layman's ear, I think we can kind of liken it. If you can tell me if I'm wrong about this, maybe if you're applying for a job, if you're going for a job or an interview, you're going to want to research that company to see, what they're all about, what they want from you, what can you give to them to bring them to the table, whatever. So sort of similar to something like that, where you're kind of I love how you're saying this now, that you really have to do your research.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great example. Here's another example that a lot of us may be familiar with is, when I decided that, I'm like, hey, I am getting to the point where I would like to get married. Okay.
Yeah.
Did I just go to the bars and start chatting with anybody? No, I spent some time thinking about the partner that I would want, right? Yeah. What do I want what qualities, values do I want my wife to have or my partner to have, whoever it may be, doesn't matter. But, I started thinking about that, right? So that as I'm starting to go out and meet people, I've got some type of framework or threshold that I'm comparing that person against. Hey, is this person going to be a good fit for me long term? If I don't have that list, I have no idea. It's got to start somewhere. And that's all we're doing here with our ideal clients, is just we're creating an image, a picture, a visual in our head of what are these clients like that we intend to work with. So that one, we can start to identify where they are so that we can attract them. But when we do attract them and we start having conversations with them, we have a threshold to compare them against and go, you know what? I don't think they're going to be a good fit. Yeah. Right? If just because I work with coaches, consultants, and professional service providers doesn't mean that I work with every one of them, because they're not all a good fit for me. Right? If they don't, if they don't have money to invest, I can't help you. Yeah. But two, if you're happy where you're at and you don't really see the value in marketing, I can't help you. Right. So it's just some of those things. It's not difficult, but we have to have an idea, a picture of who those people are that we want to work with. Just like when I decided, hey, I want to get married, what's my future wife going to be like? Some of it was what's she going to look like, but a lot of it was more what's she going to be like.
Yeah.
Because if our values aren't in alignment, I don't think this is going to work real well.
Right. Exactly. So let's go over again. Just give me again an overall picture of the 3 must-have steps, so we can sort of wrap this up here.
Yep.
Again.
So you've got 1, your target market. It all starts with your target market.
Yeah.
2 is your messaging, how you communicate what you do, the value that you offer. It has to be clear. It has to be consistent. And then from there, you have to have a plan of how you're going to get that message in front of those people. That's what it's all about.
I love it. It's great stuff, man. Great stuff. The messaging, I think, is a big thing, because I think if you don't know your message, that's a big problem. Because I think a lot of people, like, I likened it to the same question, like, what do you do? If you don't know what you're putting out there, I think that's a big problem as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so many people with their message, right? They make it difficult for people to understand what they do. And it's just, they lose people because they talk too much about themselves, and they don't focus on how they can help the customer survive and thrive. Our customers don't care about us. They care about what we can do for them. And with messaging, we use a storytelling framework, which helps you avoid those mistakes, those 2 mistakes I just mentioned. And it gives you a framework that you can go back to create clear, consistent messaging each and every time.
I think that's awesome, man. Awesome. I'm going to give you 2 more questions. We'll wrap this up.
Fire away, man.
So what is your legacy impact you want to leave with the world at large? Like, what do you, when you think about it, how do you want to change the world when it's all said and done?
For me, it's pretty simple. I just want to have a positive impact in some way, shape, or form on the people that I work with, that I come in contact with personally. I mean, and again, that doesn't mean that it's just some huge impact, like I changed the world. It could just be I opened the door for somebody and made their day better, right?
Right.
I just want to leave the world a better place.
That's great stuff. Great stuff, man. So I got one last question for you. And I ask this of all of my guests get this. So
yes,
I have people here who are watching you now, will listen to you later, and they want to know that, what you think about being an authority in this space. If they're like having a similar interest, similar goals, and so forth, what would you say to help them to get them to a point where they can be an authority in this space?
I think being an authority, it takes time. In most industries, you're not going to, unless they're really small, you got to be invested long-term. But I think there's a couple of things you need to think about if you want to become authority in your space. One is you need to identify what you want to be known for, because we can only be known for one thing. And that's really going to be kind of our tip of the spear, what we lead with as an authority. You need to decide what you want to be known for. And then from there, you can start to outline how you're actually going to do that. From a tactical perspective, I think content in all of its forms is the best way to build authority. I think it's one of the only ways to build authority.
Great. Awesome stuff. I mean, just amazing, man. I appreciate you. So people, can you tell the people right now where they can find you after the show? Where should they be directed to?
Sure, Brian, I appreciate that. Best place is our website, which is rialtomarketing.com. That's RIALTO marketing.com. We put together some free resources for your listeners that dig deeper. All the tools that we use to help clients get these fundamentals in place are there. If they go to rialtomarketing.com/the-authority-project, those marketing fundamental resources are right there. They don't even need to opt in. If you are hitting roadblocks and you need some help, some outside eyes, click on the Get a Free Consult button on our website. I'd be happy to chat with you and give you some clarity on where to focus right now based on where you are to get the best return.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Thanks so much. And people, make sure you get on that. These are free resources. And this guy is the real deal. I mean, give him a shout, give him a call, and get your marketing right. The three simple, it's just it's simple. Like I said, it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be complicated. Very simple. I appreciate it. That was perfect, man. This is absolutely perfect. So I am good. Hope you guys are good too. And as I always say, remember, build it, share it, and they will come. I'll see you next time. We're out of here.
And that's a wrap for this episode of The Authority Project. Thanks so much for tuning in. And if you like what you heard, we want to hear from you. Subscribe, rate, and give an honest review. Share and tell your friends so they can hear too. And for even more authority building tactics, be sure to sign up at theauthorityletter.com. Get free weekly content and ongoing digital product giveaways to help you on your entrepreneurial journey. We certainly hope you got a key takeaway or maybe an aha moment from today's broadcast. Just remember, it's your authority. Build it, share it, and they will come. Until next time.